Hey guys, so for this week's discussion, we're talking about adding the possibilities, the pros and the cons of if there were another baseball team added to the New York market, if territory rights and regulations were taken away. My initial thought personally is that that would probably oversaturate the market, but we'll sort of get to that as I go through some of the pros and cons. I think though what you can do is I think a lot of people think of everything being right downtown, all sort of together within New York City itself, and that's really not the case. Obviously, if you've ever been there, it's New York is so spread out. In the major sports already, baseball in particular, you have the Yankees who are in the Bronx area, with the Mets are over in Queens, and then basketball is sort of the same way. The Nets are in Brooklyn, and you have the Knicks right there, actually in Manhattan. So there's really a lot of different areas that has the population and the resources to host professional franchises. So there are options. However, adding a third would be a real stretch, I think. I think you could go the way maybe that hockey went, where their third team within the New York market is sort of the Buffalo team, which is really more outside of New York City, but they can sort of take that New York State branding. And then if you see in the NFL, really the Jets and the Giants, who brand themselves as New York teams, are both actually located, and their headquarters run out of New Jersey. Obviously, they share the Meadowlands Stadium there in East Rutherford. But getting to there's different areas there that if it was going to be done, it could be possible. If the decision was made to do so, between the pros and the cons, I think initially a lot of the pros would just be the excitement of a new franchise. I think that always drives people. I think the relocation of the Rams recently and the Chargers, the Raiders are about to make a move, and I think you see those fan bases sort of get a little spike and just sort of a resurge in excitement, and there's new things coming about. So I think that could happen with a new team. The con side to that is New York itself, baseball in particular, and New York itself has a lot of history there with its franchises. The Yankees and their 27 or 28 World Series championships. The Mets are very like a New York born and raised kind of franchise. I mean, they're named after the Metropolitans, so it's not really something that outsiders really relate to as much. So I think the newness there may not be as marketable, just because people there are going to be like, I'm a Yankees fan or I'm a Mets fan already. I'm not about to pick some new team that doesn't have any history. But if you go back to another potential pro on the other side of that is, the marketplace could become more competitive, where right now the Yankees and the Mets sort of have their own, they've sort of figured out how to operate both together in the same general market. Now, if you throw in a third team, it's going to, again, split people, potential attendance, people buying merchandise, and everybody, all three of them are going to have to rearrange sort of how they do things. So it could be a plus to fans in a financial state where, prices may go down for tickets, for merchandise, for concessions. Even if it's a new franchise that the Yankees aren't necessarily worried about competing against, they're still going to have to act against someone new coming in and taking a significant portion of their revenue stream from their fans. The con to to the other side of that is it would be very tough for that new team, I think, to go into that market and battle already pretty well established franchises such as the Yankees and the Mets. again, I think both of the teams are already there. I think they're going to have to make changes, but I don't think they're going to have to alter the way they do things to a degree that's going to give the new team coming in any kind of advantage. I mean, I think you're still going to lose the marketing battle. You're still going to lose the notoriety battle. The headlines, the papers, which are huge in New York, the Yankees, they're going to dominate the front pages of those. You're not going to come in there and just outright become a franchise that's got more notoriety than those. And outside of your sport alone, you're coming in and you're going to have to battle the Knicks and the Giants and all those other pro franchises that are up there. So it's going to be hard to sort of that's a tough market to crack. The population is there statistically to support enough teams up to 3 in that sport, but logically or logistically, when you start trying to figure out how a new team could come in there and function, it'd be very tough. Whereas I think if a team started in another area, I know Charlotte was mentioned in the opening discussion, there may not be as many resources there as in New York, but if you were the standalone club in that area, you could potentially benefit more on a lower scale, but still be just as successful or more successful, because you don't have those already well-established franchises sort of hanging over you. So those are my thoughts about this week's discussion. I'll be interested to hear what some of you guys have to say.